Happy week 3, everybody. Great to see you. Welcome into the Gramlich and Lain podcast. That is Eric Lain. If you're listening, just hear me out. That is Eric Lain. If you're watching, you see his face. I am not Kelly Gramlich. I am Taylor Tannenbaum. And just an update for you in case this is the first time you're tuning in this week. Kelly is out after having baby number 2. We love her. We wish her the best. We know she's probably not sleeping much, but she's the number 1 mom in the world. So she'll be back soon, but I'm filling in with EMAC in the meantime. How you feeling, friend? It feels like
I'm
I
good.
just saw you like 2 seconds ago for week 2, but here we are, week 3. Let's go.
We're just sprinting right through. And that's the crazy part. Like, it felt like the last 2.5 weeks leading into the season took forever. And like, we're going to these road shows and it's great and it's fun, but it's like, okay, here we go. And then game week, it just took forever to get to Saturday because there's other games. And now it's like we're holding on for dear life. Like, slow down. We don't need this thing to just fly on by because it really is. And man, we've had a ton of fun on the huddle. And I think we're in for another really fun weekend down in Atlanta. But I do want to give a quick update of KG. She sent me some pics today. Baby is so cute. Apparently he is just a big old boy and hungry all the time, killing the milk, and he doesn't play apparently about dinner time. So I think that's going to be the left tackle that I thought Jacob was going to be. Now Luke maybe will be that. We'll see if Nick and Kelly will allow him to play. We'll see.
Well, that's the thing. Jacob is already basically a professional golfer.
He's in.
But Luke was 8 pounds 13 ounces, you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, following in Uncle EMAC's footsteps over here.
Yeah,
Love that.
Big boy. So we'll see. It'll be really fun. But a loaded weekend. We got a lot to talk about. Quickly, Taylor, I'd like to throw it to our friends over at Ingles, and they're going to tell us about all the wonderful meat that you people need to go get for tailgating this weekend, the grilling, all that stuff. So quickly, a message from our friends over at Ingles, and then we're going to dive into these games.
Did you know Ingles only sells USDA Choice and Prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town for the best folks in town. Ingles. Low prices. Love the savings.
All right, not Ingles making me want a steak now. I need a steak right now, immediately. I don't know who's going to cook it for me. You're not here, and I'm most certainly not cooking it for
If you can wait till Atlanta, maybe mobile, smoker or something. That needs to be a segment that I do. I need to lean into that. That would be fun. That would be fun.
You on the smoker. I'm in charge of dinner reservations this week, and I think I have a few offline after the show. Okay, with that being said, we are in Atlanta this weekend for one of the bigger games, if not the biggest game in the ACC this weekend. We will get to the top 25 showdown of Miami, South Florida, because that's now turned into like a monster matchup that we never thought. But we are going to Atlanta for Clemson, Georgia Tech. Clemson comes in ranked. Georgia Tech comes in undefeated on the season. It's going to be on their home field. We, the ACC huddle, will be on the Tech Tower lawn. So if you guys are in the building, whether you're Tiger or Jacket fans, come visit us. But this is an old school rivalry that dates back a long time. I-85 not separated by much. So it's a quick trip via bus, probably. Maybe Clemson takes a Lain. I don't really know what they do.
I think we used to bus. I think we would always bus.
Yeah, you used to bus because it's a quick trip. But there's a lot to talk about in this matchup. And we can start with the Tigers. Let's start with the Tigers because they are 1-1 on the season. But for whatever reason, it feels almost worse at this point. And I think it's just because of the way they've played, not necessarily the results, but the way they've played. So what is your expectation for Clemson coming in this week, EMAC?
Well, I think what's fascinating, you talk about my expectation, seems like Vegas's expectation has been all over the place. I mean, I saw this game at 9.5 in favor of the Tigers, and now it's down to 2.5. Clemson's still favored, and it's still early. There's still time. I'm fascinated to see, does this thing swing to even or even in favor of the Yellow Jackets there, which is crazy to look at where it started. I'm not saying it's crazy in regards to how one team's been playing versus not the other, but I'm still, I don't know. It's almost, I don't want to be super negative because I hate that. And I'm a positive person and maybe I would be, or I wouldn't be if it was another team, but it's my team and it's the team I play for. And I know, what the expectation is. I know what the standard is. And that just, it hadn't been met for a game and a half. And the second half of the Troy game was fine. And, we saw them, pick it up a little bit, but man, it puts a weird feeling in your stomach. And you're just like, I don't know, is this, the week or the year that Georgia Tech's able to take back that rivalry after 9 years in the desert, it seems like, where they make that happen. And what a monumentous thing for them and Coach Key to be able to do, which he's not afraid of beating, top ranked opponents. He's pretty good at it. So, I am fascinated just to see like, where's the energy level? It should be very high. I mean, I expect this to be, a sellout, if not close to it. Now, there might be a lot of orange there too,
Yeah.
because Clemson travels well and it's not that far of a trip. But what do they look like? Because if you mess around and you start slow, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good deal. So I think there's a couple of things that might juice that up and you be that spark plug. Does Antonio Williams play? I think that is such a big piece that maybe we didn't give enough validation and credit to. Now, listen, I always spoke about him, Taylor, as the alpha, as
Right.
the guy, as Matt Miller's number one wide receiver prospect coming in to the season. So I put a lot of emphasis on who he was as a player. I just didn't think everyone else wouldn't be ready to elevate quickly, in like live time in that LSU game. We did see Bryant Wesco do that in the second half. We did see him put on his Superman cape and be that guy. Does he have to? Is Antonio back? And how much does that change this offense's identity?
I think it would help too, EMAC, having Antonio out there because this defensive backfield for Georgia Tech is old and they're experienced. And creating separation has been a bit of an issue for the Clemson wide receivers to this point, which I mean, I think maybe I'm a little bit surprised at. So having Antonio out there, I think helps that cause completely. If they're going to take some shots down the field, which I think that they absolutely should, especially when you're in a hostile environment, try and take the crowd out of it early and often. The other side to that, though, is for me watching Clemson, like I want to see them continue to try to get this run game going.
Right.
I just think it's so important to try and find balance offensively. So not everything it feels like has to be on Cade and the wide receiver's shoulders. That starts with the offensive line, which you have noted extensively has not been playing up to par, been a little bit confusing, are a little bit dinged up, but still kind of no excuse. We've expected a little bit more out of that unit. We've noted Cade needs to use his legs a little bit more. That was like his superpower last year.
Right.
And it's sort of like the Monstars have come and taken that from him. And,
Oh, no.
I think he needs
Not
to
the
get
Monstars.
back to that and not using his happy feet to escape the pocket when he's not
Yeah.
supposed to, but getting back to the Cade that we know that he can be. I think trying to continue to pound the rock, especially in a game where Georgia Tech's going to do that because that's
For
what
sure.
they do,
For sure.
and they're going to try to control time of possession to keep this Clemson off the field. Can you counter with your run game too to extend some of those drives and create some balance?
Right. And that's what will be fascinating to see. And I love that you brought up, Cade doing it with his feet. That's been not one of the most shocking because there's a lot shocking, right? But it's up there, when you look at the numbers and you see who their leading rushers are. And I see a converted wide receiver to running back and then two wide receivers behind him. Those are the leading rushers. I mean, that's crazy to look at that Cade's not there or one of these other younger backs, probably specifically Gideon Davidson being the guy that we thought was going to get that opportunity. But it is what it is. And he has to earn it one way or another. I do like that Adam Randall coming off of such a big game where he was very impactful in the passing game as a runner, getting him some confidence as they get into ACC play here. But you're right. Most of this thing is going to come down to two. Can he hit guys open when they do get that separation, when they are wide open? And it can't be 1-2. Oh, there he is. It has to be no. He's making his cut. I see where the defense is. I know where he's going to be. Boom, balls out. And can he do that at the level that we saw him do it last year? It's not like this is I've got to see it for the first time. He's done it. And we've seen that from him. And so we saw that in the second half. We saw some really nice plays. Does that help him be more confident, be able to take that next step? We'll see, because as I mentioned, if you play around and you don't give it your all, this will be ugly and it will be embarrassing. I think that's going to be the biggest ticket. If I'm Georgia Tech, though, just to briefly talk about it, we're not really defensive people. We like to talk about the offense. I know you play DB, so maybe you can talk a little bit more of the defense for me. But me and KG, we're out on the perimeter. We're shooting threes. We're throwing touchdowns, catching them. We don't mess around with defense. But I would blitz the heck out of Clemson. if I
Yeah.
was Georgia Tech. And I try it was funny, earlier in the week. I didn't want to specifically say it, but I was trying to ask Coach Key and see if he would go there. Just based on what
He picked up what you were
he
putting
did.
down.
He did, and he went another way. He knew what I
Yeah.
was trying to get at. That's what I would do. I see what everyone else has done to them. I see the success that they've had, blitzing the quarterback and speeding him up, getting him to, get off his. I'm testing that till it's broken. Like, show me that you can process what we're doing quickly, how we can disguise. And again, you mentioned the experience and the depth, that they have. Let's test it. Let's test that. So that's probably what I would do if I was the Georgia Tech defense.
No, I agree with you. And look, I know Georgia Tech is coming off a win over Gardner Webb, but they did have 6 sacks in that game. So the defense got things rolling last week, as they should, ahead of a big game like this. And the big question mark for Georgia Tech is, what is the status of quarterback Haynes King? He missed last game, dealing with a lower body injury of sorts.
Mhm.
Backup Aaron Philo came in. He can throw the football. That's for sure. And if they have to use him, or they have to use both, or a combination, or they just go with Haynes, I like the position Georgia Tech is in at quarterback. But this is going to be a matchup to watch, and going to have major implications in terms of the road to Charlotte for the ACC championship.
For sure.
So we'll see how that ends up panning out down the road. But look back at this game down the
Yeah.
road, week 3. This one could matter. I
It's going to
should.
be monstrous. It's going to be monstrous. And I think, the winner is all but punching their ticket. Now, clearly FSU and Miami are in great spots there, but you look at Georgia Tech's schedule after this, it's not bad. You're feeling pretty good about ACC play and what they're going to do. And, just quickly looking at their offense, it's all going to come down. It's quarterbacks on both sides. Like, I know they have Jamal Haynes, and he's a monster. I think he's one of the best backs in the ACC. But Georgia Tech on Saturday afternoon will go as far as Haynes can take them. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. And so is that with his arm? Is it with his legs? Probably more than not. And can his offensive line protect him, move the ball? I cannot wait. You talk about matchups within matchups. I cannot wait to see big Keelan Rutledge go against Peter Woods. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like NFL on NFL, best on best. And Peter's been doubled a lot, which rightfully so. He's a freak of nature. I hope we see some good one-on-one wars between those two, and it'll be fun. We'll see. So I can't wait for this matchup. We do picks on this show, Taylor
Okay.
Tannenbaum. So I know you try to get out of it on the huddle. I hope you're in it this week. As I mentioned, the line has moved to 2.5.
Yeah.
Basically a pick 'em.
And I think maybe, I think maybe, does that have to do with them realizing Haynes is probably going to play at quarterback for Georgia Tech?
It's a good
Maybe
point. Good point.
I, you're making me go first.
Yeah, of course. Ladies first. You know where I'm going, so just say it with your chest. Go ahead.
Okay, I actually do think. I actually think Clemson comes out and
No, do you? Come on.
No, I do. I really want to lean Georgia Tech, and as you noted, they have been so good against ranked opponents under Brent Key. I just think, like, Dabo talked about a lot this week, how this team is very reminiscent to the 2016 team, where they had a really slow start. And I know you kind of, but like, there are some correlations with the two. I think this could be a game they come out and assert their dominance. It's league play starting now. It's get up,
Right.
or put up or shut up. And I think Clemson does that. I hate that it's a sweep. And Georgia Tech will give them a run, but I think Clemson can assert their dominance here.
I think the Tigers wake up a little bit. I'm such a homer. Of course I'm going to say that. What else would I say? I think they play their best game to date. What does that equate to? I'm not sure. I know they cover. I mean, I think they cover because that means I think they win.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I will not be shocked if Clemson looks like Clemson. And again, just understanding the opponent, who they have, understanding this team can beat you, where they sleepwalking a little bit last week, just thinking, oh, it's Troy. Everything's just going to happen. No, you have to make it happen. So give me the Tigers. I'm right there with you. I wouldn't be shocked if it goes either way, but I think Clemson reminds them who they are.
And I have a fun nuggie for you, Mr. Offensive Lineman. And you just noted you want to see the trenches. You want to see that Georgia Tech O-line, that Clemson defensive line. Georgia Tech hasn't allowed a sack all season. I know they've only played 2 games, but still,
It's
that's
impressive.
just what they do.
Impressive. They have turned it over a little bit. If Clemson can jump on them early with turnovers,
Yeah.
could be ugly. We'll see.
Protecting
Take
the
care of that
football.
ball, boys. Take care of that ball.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go down to South Florida, because if you would have asked anybody like 3 weeks ago, including the people who schedule like television and what
Shout
games
out
are
the CW, Taylor.
on what channel. I don't think anybody thought number 18 USF at
No.
number 5 Miami would be a headliner this week. It is on the CW. I know people are enraged, but I need people who are listening to this podcast to understand, like, it's not just easy to move games around. Like, these are set
No.
weeks prior. So, like, simmer down. Everybody has the CW. I think it's great. You can watch it
Yeah.
wherever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big ratings, big
With that
numbers.
being said, look, USF has been the giant killers. They knock off number 25 Boise State. They knock off number 13 Florida in the swamp. Now they're going down to South Florida to play a Miami team. They have a really good quarterback in Byram Brown.
Yeah.
He's outstanding. The defense has been playing as sound as any defense really in the country. And they earned that win against Florida. Now, if you ask me, EMAC, I know people are saying, are they going to start this season 3-0 against ranked opponents? What Miami showed me last week in their dominant win over Bethune-Cookman, coming off of a win to Notre Dame, that they're locked in. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. Doesn't matter, what's in front of them. They're going to go play Miami football. And I think that's what makes this year's team different. I felt it a little bit last year. I feel the continuation of it again. I don't think they will let the Bulls jump them.
Right.
That's my feel. You might have a different feel. And I also think maybe the best thing that happened to Miami was watching one of their rivals in Florida get upset by this team. Hey, wake up. Newsflash, this team
Yeah.
didn't come to play, and they won't come to play down in Miami Gardens this weekend.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. And I think when you look at USF, you mentioned that quarterback. I mean, he's played his tail off, and it's been fun to watch. And he's a big dude, 6'3", 6'4", 235. I mean, he ain't playing. He's looking for contact when he runs, and he's been spectacular for them. Obviously, their leading passer and their leading rusher, which is awesome. Scored a couple of touchdowns, only one through the air. Which is interesting, and they only defensively have 2 sacks. So it's not like it's been this unbelievable performance. It's just been gritty. It's been physical. They're just up front whipping people, and they overwhelmed Florida. I mean, it was interesting to see that. Obviously dominated Boise State. That wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And then they bullied Florida too on both lines of scrimmage there. I just don't see that happening against Miami. I think that Miami's offensive line is one of, if not the best in the entire country. They're big, they're nasty, they're physical. They've got a very smart quarterback back there in Carson Beck that's going to deliver traffic, get them in the right situation, handle pressures. And I think they keep it moving on that side. Then on the other side, you've got a defensive line in Miami that led by Ruben Bain, who's playing out of his mind. Like he's eclipsed some of his stats, or he's close to them from a year ago. Like this dude's playing at a super high level. He's playing very efficient, and so are other pieces around him, on that defensive side of the ball. So I think that the Cinderella story's over, and that, great year, and still probably going to be the favorite. You handle business the rest of the way to be in the playoff, which is awesome. But in regards to the national notoriety and, oh my gosh, can they keep going? I think that stops in where Miami Gardens, is that what it is? I almost said South Beach. I know you get really upset, so I didn't want to say that.
I understand.
Is it Miami Gardens? Is that the right one?
Schools in Coral Gables, the stadiums
Right.
in Gardens, but at the end of the day,
Yeah,
in Miami.
the city's in South Beach. Like, it's crazy.
Mm.
Sorry. Tangent there. So I think they get it done. And, I think we continue to see the heavy dose of a run game, from Miami. Does Carson let it rip a little bit more? Do they push that ball downfield and, allow him to play at a super high level? Maybe. But I think all year it's going to be about efficiencies. It's about running the ball, getting Mark Fletcher and this offensive line going. And Taylor, I don't know. When I saw the line for Florida, because it was 17.5 last week, I was like, take the Bulls. Like, that's crazy. That's a big, big number. I did not think they could win. And so maybe the disrespect's just going to keep adding up. I will say this before I get out of the way. I'm sorry. If they win this game, they're the number 1 team in the country, and they need to be treated as so. Have to be. The resume is insane.
It's insane, and I don't care what conference they belong to. If you put up papers on the wall and cover up the logos and cover up the conference, that is the best team in the country based on resume. And that's what you're looking at right now. I don't want to hear the rest of it. Their strength of schedule is strong based on who they have played throughout the first 3 weeks of the season.
Exactly.
I don't need to see their remaining strength of schedule to know that today it would be the number 1 team in the country. And on that note, based on the team's play over the first 2 weeks, USF's chance to beat Miami has jumped from 11% to 28% per ESPN analytics. So still very much favors the Canes. Another note for Miami that it has been really nice to see is they're playing clean football.
Mm-hmm.
There have been little things throughout the last couple of years that have held them back, just like silly things,
Mm-hmm.
penalties or calls or, whatever
Coaching
decisions
decisions. Yeah.
being
Yeah.
made. Um, they didn't turn the ball over last week. They've kept the penalties low, even against Notre Dame. So I've liked that about this Miami team. But again, it just to me a character building opportunity for Miami because it only
Mm-hmm.
gets harder for the Canes from here. Um, they have a bye after Florida. That's great. You can rest then
Right.
after Florida. And then you have FSU and then Louisville. So the stint they have here, this first half of Miami's season is a beast.
Yeah.
And it starts this weekend.
It does. It does. And they need to handle business. And again, looking at this defense, I've been really impressed with the front seven. Kind of was questioning the linebackers and your guy there, Big Wesley, doing his thing, flying around. But I've loved what I've seen from the defensive backs. I mean, there were a couple of random things, against Notre Dame where you're like, but it was some coverage busts. It was play breaking down, extending. CJ Carr did a great job, from Notre Dame there. Just seeing what these guys bring to the table is going to be fun. This is another big challenge. This is going to be physically up front. Miami, are you who I thought you were going to be? And if
Right.
the answer is yes, then you probably cover here. You probably win, by 17 plus points. If not, it could be weird in a hurry.
Yeah, and that's what I would make my game plan. Like obviously I'm not Mario Cristobal and I'm not out here game planning for anybody. But you saw how physical the game was last week for USF against Florida. They're coming off of that game, whereas
Yeah.
Miami, their starters were sitting very early in that game. Be physical from the jump. I
Mhm.
want you to run that ball down their throat so you exhaust
Yeah.
that team. Miami has the depth. Look, it's not that USF can't recruit. They have Florida boys on that team.
Sure.
These are dudes on this team that didn't go to Florida, didn't go to Florida State, didn't go to Miami, not even UCF, some of them.
Yeah.
They went to USF and maybe they've been doubted. They weren't the ones that the coaches were coming to watch in high school,
Yep.
but they were still making plays for their high school. So there's a lot of pride there. I think you bully them from the jump. Run the damn ball, exhaust them, keep it away from them, and see if you can continue to be as physical as the game was against Florida and just wear them down progressively as the game
Yeah,
goes.
and I think I totally agree with that because Florida seemed like was playing around, trying to do some tricky stuff. Just line up, go base, let's go hunt.
Oh,
Go hunt on the defensive side, pound the rock on the offensive side, play bully ball, which is,
right.
again, preseason. After seeing those guys in person, which you and I were there, we're looking at them saying that is going to be the mainstay. That's going to be the ground level. We're bigger, faster, stronger than you. Here's why.
Right.
And go out there and play. So, with that said, again, looking at the points, it's a lot of points.
What
I
is it?
think,
Do you know?
again, it's 17.5 right now.
Oh, it is 17.5.
I'm taking the Canes. I think
Me
the
too.
Canes make a statement. I think that, and that's
Me
a lot
too.
of points. That's 18 points. That's a
And
big,
y'all,
big number. But I'm with it. I'm with
I'm
it.
with you. I'm taking Miami and the points. And I know if Carson Beck doesn't play this whole game, I don't know what Mario Cristobal's plan would be if they do go up 3 scores. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Emory Williams is extremely serviceable as a
Right.
backup. And
Right.
I don't, there, he can throw the ball. I don't know how much drop off there would be if they go to their backup quarterback. I
Right.
love what Alex Golish is doing at USF. I just think the buck stops here, and excited
Yeah.
to see them in the playoff later down the road as
That's
the
right.
G5
That's right.
representative.
Excited to see him as the head coach of Florida next year. That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
honestly,
We'll see.
um,
There might be a couple of openings. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Let's go brawling. Let's go to the backyard and hang out.
in a fight, guys, you guys can vote, comment below. Who do you think would win in a brawl between me and EMAC? Just kidding. 108th edition of the Backyard Brawl dates back to 1895. So this is old school. And you could talk about rivalries all day. Look, I worked in the state of Alabama. Auburn, Alabama is one of the best that's ever been there. South Carolina, Clemson doesn't get much better than that. If you go North Carolina, Duke, there's a ton of hate there. You can go all over the country. This one's real. And this is there's a lot of drinking going on. There's like burning of couches. This can get kind of crazy. Going down to Morgantown and just a lot of history between these two teams. West Virginia's struggling, AMAC. I
Mm.
can't lie. They lost to Ohio last week, 17-10, a low-scoring affair, but not an L you want to take before your arch rival comes to town. I hope Pitt doesn't get caught off guard by that. And if I'm looking at this game, here's what I'm looking for. You're going to hostile territory, Panthers. You cannot afford another slow start. And they're 2-0 on the season, but they started slow in their opener. And even last week, too, against Central Michigan, it was like got into the fourth quarter and it was like still a one-score game.
Right.
Not in
Right.
this instance. And I do think it'll be closer because of the emotion involved, but
Sure.
you gotta make a statement early here.
No, I think so too. And I think I'm not so worried about the, oh my gosh, these guys lost to Ohio. They suck because like Pittsburgh hates them. West Virginia hates Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hates it's a big rivalry. I mean, it's crazy. And I think they understand A, how hard it is to go to Morgantown and win, B, the importance level, of this game, to throw out the records, make that kind of go away. There is unfortunate, for West Virginia. They're going to be down probably their best offensive player and their running back White. He's going
Yeah.
to be hurt. Looks like he's out for the season there. And, you got a couple of other, pieces, some wide receivers, some guys. And what's interesting about that, when you lose kind of those top dogs, when you lose those guys that you expected, one thing to note, West Virginia, TT brought in like 75 new players. We talk about North Carolina all the time and all the new players they brought in. These guys had to go through something very similar. And so when you start losing your ones, you're like, I don't know where and what we have here. It could get ugly, for West Virginia. They've got a new regime in there. Rich Rod's back, and he's an offensive guy. So I know
Yep.
scoring 10 points last week, like probably broke his heart and hurt
Yeah.
his soul. And bad news, you got Kyle Lewis and company coming to town, and they don't take any prisoners there. So the linebackers, I always start on defense with Pittsburgh. They've been balling. I mean, it's
They
been
have.
so fun, to see Kyle, to see Biles. I mean, those guys at the linebacker core are just freaky, and they've been really fun playing at a super high level. I think they punched these dudes right in the mouth. I mean, I don't think it's quite Syracuse last year with a billion D turnovers and defensive touchdowns,
A
but
billion D?
that's a billion D. But that's where it could be. They get their
Yep.
hands on the football, ball comes out. Look out! The Sharks are going to be hunting.
That's how I feel too. I think it's going to be the defense leading for Pitt in this game as opposed to the offense just throwing up a ton of points on the board. And granted, you give Eli Holstein the ball and Desmond Reed there in the backfield or catching out of the backfield, they're inevitably going to find the end zone. But I've been so impressed with this Pitt defense. They're second in total defense in the ACC right now, first against the run. They're averaging 38 and a half yards per game allowed so
Mhm.
far. So this defense, Randy Bates's defenses are always good. It was an up and down year last year, but you saw the flashes. You're seeing the leadership really step up in Rasheem Biles and
Yeah.
Kyle Lewis this year there at the linebacker position. So
Yeah.
I think that's where it starts too. I think the defense comes in there, makes a statement, and the offense, you got to get started quickly though.
Right.
Kind of get them on their heels and playing from behind. Because as you've noted, West Virginia's down a bunch of offensive players, and it will be an uphill climb for them if Pitt can get ahead. And a fun note for this one, though, the home team has won each of the last 4 meetings. Sometimes that's
There's
just like a
something to that. There's
quirk
something to that.
about a rivalry. Right, there's
Yeah.
something to that. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that fares, but it's a good opportunity for this Pitt team to pick up a Big 12 win for the league, who didn't do so hot in our 4 non-conference games last weekend, went 1-5. So just all over the board an opportunity here.
Yeah, no, it is. And again, I want to touch on Eli just for a second. I mean, he's such a fun, player to watch and see him continue to grow, continue to get comfortable, within this offense, operate at a super high level. He can push the ball downfield. He is very talented, very gritty, very emotional type guy. And can you just keep that going? Can you just get everybody believing, everybody moving in the same path? And then you mentioned Desmond Reed. I mean, that dude, he's so fun to watch. I mean, he can
I
just
want a little
impact the
more.
game.
I
I
want a
know.
little more
I
than
know.
Desmond
I'm fine
Reed.
with that too. I would love that. If we can get them, 20, 15, 20 touches in this game, that's probably where you want them to be. Now, this will be the first real competition for
True.
Pittsburgh as well. And so maybe you have to give him the ball. You have to give him more opportunities. But I think Pittsburgh rolls. It's 6.5 is the line. Give me the Panthers. I think they make it happen. This is a wounded West Virginia team, literally and figuratively. I think they get it done in Morgantown, as some people like to say.
I do too. Normally, if West Virginia was at fuller strength, or it was the West Virginia of last year, which had a big lead and then Pitt came back late in the
Yeah.
game with a couple of touchdowns. That was like Eli Holstein's big coming out party. Um, I would have taken West Virginia and the points there, but I'm going Pitt, and I
Yeah.
think it's a 2 score.
Just too many unknowns, and you got a ton of guys. You have no clue who they are, how they're going to play. Just things of that nature. When you have that many, and a whole new staff, like nothing is established yet, and so when you lose your key players, it's pretty difficult. It's pretty tough. So I think it's a safe bet.
I agree, but it will be rowdy in Morgantown. What a fun
It'll be
environment.
rowdy. A lot of people telling you you're number one, Pitt.
Yeah, a
Don't be
lot of
the
you.
finger that they're telling you with.
We're number 1. Okay, let's move on to Duke Tulane. So Duke will be leaving Durham. We were just there last weekend, and they are heading to Tulane, where Duke's current quarterback, Darian Mensah, came from, transferred from Tulane. And yes, you're saying sad face because we were in Durham and really thought Duke had a chance there at halftime. And then the third quarter, everything kind of just flipped, and they lost a tough one to Illinois pretty handily by the scoreboard, but on the field, maybe a little bit of a different story. Emac, you look at this matchup. I don't know if the opponent matters as much as just being Duke matters. Like just getting back to the ball that you play matters in this one.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, what you did in the first half, minus the bonehead plays that kept going into the second half and just, absolutely killed you. And that's what was so frustrating a week ago, because really I thought it was going to go one or two ways. Either Duke was going to be fine and hang and be able to compete and win, or Illinois was just going to physically outmatch them, bully them around. And that wasn't the case. They were there. I had no thought process of Duke's going to hurt themselves so bad in this game. They get aired out by 30 points. I did
Right.
not foresee that coming with a Manny Diaz led team with just who I know they are at their core, these players. And it was just super unfortunate because it just kept happening, kept like big, monumentous things. And so for me, specifically in this game, there's going to be a lot of mental Olympics for Mensa there, right? Like he is
Yep.
going to have to be locked in, flush all the noise. I'm fascinated to see even what his like warm up is. Like, is he going out there on that field more than he has to just to get ready and to go play a football game? I don't know. We'll see because I don't know how. I'm sure there's no hard feelings. Maybe there is. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know.
going to be
Maybe there are
fascinating.
going to be people saying you're number 1. That's very
For sure. They're
possible.
going to be
I don't
upset.
know.
They're going to be upset, that he left there. And, can you just flush all that and go play and take care of the football? Two
That's it.
hands on the football. Do not put it in jeopardy for your team. Do not give the ball away. And don't be any part of reason other than what we're winning and how we're doing. And he's been electric, with his arm. When you look at him, he's third or fourth in the country in passing yards in 2
Oh,
games. He has 723 passing yards in 2 games. That's crazy to
right.
see how he's pushing it downfield so well, how he's playing. And you just got to protect it. You just got to get it going. So would I like to see a little bit more running from him? Yes. Would I like to see a little bit more in the run game in general from him? Yes. But, also let's continue to get our playmakers the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see, TT, just how they attack. Can they continue, to have Vincent Anthony Jr. ball out? I mean, he looked freaky last week against Illinois, and can he just keep stacking? He's going to fly up, draft boards and things of that nature. So for me and Duke this week, take care of you, focus on you, and the results will worry about themselves.
That's how I feel too. Like I felt like it's less about the opponent in Tulane and more about
Yeah.
you and what you didn't do last week, which was take care of the football with the 5 turnovers and ultimately come out with a win. And to your note, Darian Mensah threw for 334 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he did have an interception and 2 fumbles. And you know what? The wide receivers too. There were a couple of important drops.
Right.
There were some penalties out there that just were unacceptable, inexcusable.
Mhm.
Clean some of that stuff up. And what we did take away from that game against Illinois, the trenches for Duke really held their own. Like
Oh, yeah.
physicality wise, they did. So I do think they will have that edge this week against a Tulane team that's in the G5. Like I do think they are deeper on both sides of the line of scrimmage. So if you can handle that and take care of the football, I think the
Right.
result will be a win for the Blue Devils. And it's going to be also incumbent on Mensah's teammates to make sure they have his back. That's our guy now.
Yeah.
We have his back. Pick him up if he's down. Make sure you're catching those passes. Don't let that crowd get into it in a negative way. I'm with you. I think Duke can do some damage moving forward if they can spin that Illinois loss the right way.
Yeah. I totally agree, which
Yeah.
is just taking care of yourself. So this is a weird pick. Tulane is favored right now as we're recording this by a
What?
point and a half. How do you feel about that? Where
I
are you?
was flipping back and forth, and
It has changed quite a bit.
I guess I can understand that. I don't know. Vegas always knows.
How do you feel about it?
I'm gonna go Duke plus 1.5 then.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're homers. I get it.
I'm not
I'm
even
saying the
kind of
same thing.
that's not even one that I'm like,
You feel
it
bad
is
about?
one. Yeah, no, it's not the one that I would
Yeah,
pick the opposing team.
yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
Rollback just dropped their licensed game day collection. Polos, hoodies, Q-zips, custom designed for your school. On game days, we wear Rollback, period.
There's a couple other games. I just want to kind of ping pong here. You take a game, give me something you like about it. I'll take a game. I can take the rest of them if there's nothing you like. Let's
Something I
just hit the
like.
rest of these. Something you like, or
Okay.
something you want to see. I'll
You
let you
wanna know
start
what
with
I wanna
Virginia.
see?
Yeah, I'll let you start with Virginia. Tell me about Virginia. What do you think?
Okay. So Virginia's hosting William and Mary. It is UVA Strong Day too, where they continue to honor the 3 lives lost a couple of years ago. Look, for Virginia, you were this close, like an interception close to knocking off NC State and Raleigh, and that is a tough place to play and would have been really a tenure changing win for Tony Elliott at the helm now in year 4.
Yeah.
Can you put that behind you, which I think they will against William and
hmm
Mary, but
hmm
continue to do exactly what you did aside from a late game interception there from Chandler Morris? I'm really high on this Virginia team. They have one of the easier schedules in the ACC, certainly the easiest they've had of the Tony Elliott era.
hmm
Um, Everything is still ahead of this
Right.
Virginia team,
Right.
and they can score offensively. So I'm looking forward to seeing Chandler Morris going back out there as a leader. Jamari Taylor, the running back, welcome to the Atlantic Coast Conference from North Carolina Central. He was outstanding last week. This team ran for 257 yards total. Like, just go run it down the throats of William and Mary. Let your second stringers, third stringers get in there to start the third quarter. And let's move on before we get into league play. So
Yeah.
I'm
Get
I'm
in.
bullish on Virginia. I really
Yeah,
am.
as you should be. I like to say favorable, not easy. Winning's not easy.
No.
Schedules, favorable. But I totally agree with you. And can you capitalize? Because that's a big deal. This is a big year for Coach Elliott in this program, and I think a lot is kind of riding on that. I'm right there with you. SMU travels to Missouri State. Now, listen, I said this and I made fun of SMU, and Coach Rhett Lashley hit me up immediately. Said, "Hey, this is why somebody dropped us. We had to scramble. It's literally the only game we could find in all of college football." And I get it. He said, "That'll never happen again while I'm here." And I totally understand that. Just be you. Just go play. Get in, get out, just like you said about Virginia. Be efficient. Take care of business, and let me see this defense be what I think it can be.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's not play around. There is a line actually, 27.5. Let's win by more than that. And let's make it happen and do our thing. So one team that I don't know if they'll have that privilege, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts here. Richmond versus North Carolina.
This game makes me nervous.
Anxious.
And I don't know why, because even though North Carolina finally picked up a win last week against Charlotte, they still didn't look that great to me.
Mm-hmm.
There were still a lot of things left on the table, and I mean a lot. Like Gio Lopez certainly played better and used his legs more effectively
For a half.
for a half, but I have not seen what I need to see out of a team that's going to play a Richmond squad, sure, a lesser opponent. But they'll come trying to pull off an upset here.
They will. They will.
That's a program that has some history. I know I was working with
Mm-hmm.
Dave Clawson earlier this week, and a former Wake Forest and Richmond head coach. So I don't know. Carolina really needs to be on alert this week, in my opinion, Emac.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you another team that's on red alert. And if this happens, there's going to
No.
be some shockwaves, and that is ODU versus these Hokies. And I cannot wait to talk to my boy Eddie Royal. ODU played Indiana tight. They were balling against those guys. I don't know if I want to sit here and say upset alert, but I might say it. I think ODU wins this football game.
Do
And
you?
I think
Why?
it's done. I just think Virginia Tech's in a horrible spot. I think there's not a lot of motivation. I think people are checked out. The way that I saw a press conference handled after a game that you got aired out in, I wasn't feeling too inspired. I wasn't feeling any type of emotion.
I
And
respect that.
that is like contagious. That feeling is contagious, and other guys see that, and who knows how the meetings are going. It might be pretty weird. So I think that might be my upset of the week in the ACC, and that's not going to be good.
So, um, I agree with you. It makes me really nervous, and I hate saying that because we are Brent Pry supporters.
Love him.
Uh,
Love him
but,
as a man.
but
Love him as a
like
defensive guy. It's just not
love.
working. It's just not working.
But like us, it's a performance-based business, and I think we understand that on television. They understand that when you get into the coaching business.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that Indiana game was closer than I'm sure the Hoosiers would have liked.
Mhm.
Defense, Coach Pry said they're one of the stingiest defenses I've seen in the red zone. That doesn't bode well for a Virginia Tech team that has struggled in the red zone. They kick field goals instead of, scoring 6 or 7. So that is a little bit alarming to me, and they're obviously coming in knowing that they can prey on the fact that Virginia Tech is reeling right
Right.
now. Or is it going to be a Virginia Tech team? Some of the leaders in that locker room can't definitively say who they are. They lost a lot of leadership last
Mhm.
year.
Mhm.
If they're stepping up and saying, have some pride in this program and what the people before us built, what the Eddie Royals of the world built. Like, it's going to come down to that.
Yeah.
You either have pride this weekend or you don't. And
Right.
I wonder what the stands are going to look like at Lane Stadium, EMAC. I really do.
Well, see, that I'm not worried about. I think they'll be
Okay.
full. Now, how long and what does it sound like? That'll be interesting. That'll be
Yeah.
a different story. Let's look at Cal real quick. They've got a big game, big matchup here. You got a true freshman quarterback that's been balling in JKS there. Jaron, I'm not even going to try.
Daring
till I hear it.
Kiave Sangapolatele.
Yes, thank you. That's why we pay you the big bucks. That kid has been balling, and it's fun to see. I need to see Cade Olave ball out and be an absolute weapon on that side for them, because I know Minnesota's running the ball. I mean, it's just what they've done forever, and they're going to be physical. Can you line up, punch them in the face? It's at your house, at home. Let's get a big win here. Talking about that, and then same thing with BC. Little conference play here
Okay.
as they head to Stanford. Keep going, Lonergan. Like, let's go. It's fun to watch. 8 touchdowns, no picks, slinging the ball all over the yard. Y'all need to handle business. I don't need any slip ups. BC, I think, is a team nobody wants to play right now. You got to go demonstrate that, and you got to show me.
No, I agree. And I said it earlier, that is not a team that you want to be playing in late October, November, especially in Chestnut Hill, if they
Yeah.
have a quarterback in Dylan Lonergan that's playing like that. And they have some receivers who've stepped up too. So I know Stanford's struggling a little bit,
Yeah.
EMAC, and it would be nice for them to have a feel-good win first under the interim head coach, Frank Reich, and obviously Andrew Luck as GM, but I think Boston College is good. I do.
Right
I
there.
actually think Boston College has a little something to them.
I think they got a little juice, and it starts with your QB there. We'll see. It's going to be super fun. Appreciate you guys tuning in. TT, you're amazing. Fun first week. Let's keep this train rolling. I'll see you in like a couple hours. See you in Atlanta in a couple
Great.
hours.
I'll
Won't
get
be
those
long.
reservations set, friend.
Yeah, exactly. Please do that. But again, appreciate you guys. Go subscribe, jump in the comments, tell us your thoughts on the weekend. Are Taylor and I just a bunch of homers, or are we on to something here? Is the ACC bounce back? Have a nice little week 3. We'll be back with more next week. Appreciate you guys always. But until next time, we'll see y'all.
See ya.